So, love your body. A question I want to find out by you is, why is loving your body or knowing yourself so important?
Well, Ron, if if we don't know who we are, how on earth are we going to show up as our best self? Just the experience that I had today with all the changes that were happening one after the other. I mean, I went through about 6 different changes this morning. And if I did not know my body, if I did not know myself, I would have gone into a downward, frizzled out spiral. The idea of us knowing ourselves and knowing our bodies is that we can manage ourselves. We need to understand that we are holistic human beings. My work is around the 8 dimensions of life. In fact, that has become my next book. And that next book is Wimp to Warrior, the 8 dimensions of life. If we do not manage ourselves, if we do not manage our emotions, emotions came way up this morning because of all the changes that were unforeseen, all the changes that weren't scheduled, all the changes that were even happening in my own body. The changes create an angst if it's not managed. So if we don't know ourselves, how on earth are we going to manage ourselves? The bigger picture, the longer picture has been the picture of all that conditioning that's been put on our brains, all that conditioning that's been put into our beings from social media, from parents, from all the influences of our life. Look at the Barbie effect, look at the Ken effect, where bodies have been expressed as this doll like, out of proportion, extreme. And here are young people who do not understand that the person that we are, the body that we have, is completely unique. Yes, we all have 2 eyes, we all have 2 ears, 2 arms, 2 legs, and yet we show up as very different. So if we don't know our bodies, if we can't accept our bodies, then we're putting ourselves at a huge disadvantage.
And you know what's quite interesting what you're saying there, Barbara. It's is how we more worried about what social media is going to say instead of what the mirror is going to say. Yeah, at the end, and at the end of the day is is if we figure out who we are, it's not that just on the outside, but it's also how you see yourself in the inside to become that person you always wanted to be.
Yes, Ron, it is an inside journey, but most of us don't even realize, one, it's an inside, and two, they don't know how to do an inside journey. That's why this book's written, because it is about the how.
100%. And the question which comes to mind is, how do you suggest people start building a relationship with themselves or in their body?
Well, I think because of the uniqueness that we all experience in our bodies, we as human beings, the owners of our bodies, have to look at the way we can best feel comfortable in our skin. And being best comfortable in our skin is about, so how can I use my attributes to the best of the or my ability? How can I bring out the features of myself that a lot of people have given me feedback about, for instance? Because feedback is a wonderful loop of information, and that information can be the benefit of getting to know oneself, because we all have a blind spot. We all have this preconceived conditioning of mind and being that is so daunting until it is challenged. So we got to take the best that we know we have through feedback, through own opinion, through the mirror, and be objective and do something with what makes you feel good in your skin.
Which is quite interesting. I was just thinking of something quite interesting is people put themselves in front of social media and people judge them. But if you see a person face to face, people start reading the body language. It says, but you're not the same as what you're on social media. You're a total different person. It's all got to do with a handshake. How do you speak to people? And I think that helps a lot of people to become who they are, because that's a confidence you pick up. Because we're so interested in worried about the comments, I mean, of what people say. And then when you go see the person, yeah, if you feel so insecure, but as soon as you get out in the real world, that's when security happens. That's what I found in my life.
After all, people are people, right? And until we accept who we are, no more, no less, but who we are, that helps us to become confident in our self-image and in the image that we portray to the world.
Which leads me to, yeah, how does gratitude play a progress in our way of of loving your own self?
Oh my word, it's huge. Gratitude is an amazing energy. Gratitude is a vibration, a frequency, Ron, that is even higher than love. Gratitude is an energy that pulls things together, pulls things into reality, into an internal process that brings to life that which really is. We take on such nonsense from previous generations, from people. We on concepts that don't even relate to us. Gratitude is the place of, here it is, I've got my gratitude journal. This is where I find myself. Gratitude, the opportunity to find reality. And in that perspective of what's really going on, what's really happening for ourselves, it is a place that we can land and look and be remarkably aware and in peace with movement of what our bodies do, what our bodies do automatically, what our bodies do behind the scenes, what our bodies to keep us alive, how they fight for us to stay alive and as healthy as possible. It's about finding balance. It's about finding the reality, and gratitude is a tool for that.
And Barbara, what's quite interesting, and I'm just going to go back, I think it's about 16 years that I've been working with you, and it's talking about gratitude in your journal, and you says just change one word from I will, I get to. And that starts changing your mindset big time, because you get to do stuff. I get to wake up every morning. I'm happy and grateful to get up. I mean, I get to make a breakfast. Just small things. That helps a lot just by applying that gratitude. And as you rightly said, write down 5 gratitude posts every morning, and just change it every week to not to be the same. And you start seeing, yeah, your mindset starts changing to become a better self. And that's, which is great, just working with yourself, and especially with these books that you've been writing. I think that helps quite a bit, which leads me to the next question is, can you give an example of someone learning from their own body?
Yes, I can give an example of what happened for me today. Um, with all those things that were happening, and I'm talking from about 4:45 this morning, things just continuously changed. And eventually, I had to just stop. I had to just stop. I had to go and find myself on the couch. I had to breathe. I had to just reset my clock, reset my body, reset my thinking. And I had a snack, and I decided on my attitude. How was I going to now take on the rest of this day? So our bodies talk to us all the time. The problem is we don't listen. I know that my body needs cortisol management. I know that. My body has a high tendency for inflammation naturally. So as soon as my cortisol or stress levels go up, my inflammation goes up. And naturally, my inflammation goes up. And if I have inflammation in my body, that's an invitation for illness. We have to learn to listen to our bodies, because when we listen to our bodies, when we take the right action with our bodies, we allow our bodies to reset, calm down, and start again.
Barbara, I found it so interesting. People don't understand between listening and hearing a person's body. And the way I'll describe it is very simple. I hear my wife, but I don't listen to her. You know, or I can listen to her, but I don't hear her. You know, and that's what your body is. You know, as how you switch off and how you use between listening and hearing, how you put that together to listen to your body. I mean, as we spoke earlier this morning, you spoke about the different types of fasting, and I found it quite intriguing at that type of fasting, that eating at 4 o'clock, that you can get your body to rest. Especially when you said when you were young, your mother said, eat all your food, you cannot go to bed with a full stomach. And I found that quite interesting. So just elaborate a little bit on that, how food plays a vital role to better yourself.
Oh, my word. For me, my gut is my first brain. For me, the gut, the digestion system impacts everything, impacts the very being of who I am, down to my thinking, down to my clarity, down to my planning. If I am in crisis mode in my gut, everything is in crisis. The intermittent fasting is a process of assisting the body to digest, so that there's a longer period without eating and processing food than there is during the day eating. We do not know, we have not been taught that food is fuel, and that fuel, just like for a car, is utilized when the car is moving in action. We have to redesign the way we think, the way we do, so that we can better our lives through the way we experience the changes.
So, Barbara, how can a person, or give me an example of for somebody learning more from their body, what you just mentioned?
When we learn from our bodies, when we track what's happening in our bodies, when we take on a project, let's call it intermittent fasting, when we decide, when we take note, and literally take note, again, journaling, when we take note of what we're doing with our bodies and what the impacts are, and how the experimentation changes, how we get a chance to redecide on what works, what doesn't work. Oh my gosh, we can learn so much from our bodies just by being conscious. by that consciousness, by that tracking, by that wanting to move better and better and better into aging, instead of falling back into the social media norm of getting older, therefore worse and worse and worse. No, my opinion is getting older, knowing more, and more, therefore better and better and better.
Because there's a lot of awareness and support through emotional well-being. So how does that interfere with how we see ourselves?
Emotional well-being
Yeah,
supports us
yeah.
or destroys us. We can either go yay or we can go oh no. We can either in with joy or fall apart because we're sad and unable to manage ourselves. Emotions play a huge role. Cortisol goes up, cortisol goes down, depending on emotions. If we are not conscious of our emotions, we are blown in the wind. We're falling over ourselves. We have to learn how to prioritize. And prioritizing for me looks like peace. It looks like calm. It looks like productivity. That way, I can monitor myself in the energy of the day, in the progress of the day. And here again is another example of tracking myself and journaling. And that's in my goals and wins diary, or journaling yet again. So these things are for me important. I need to know that I'm on track with myself in order for me to be able to function my best in whatever it is I do.
So Barbara, like for instance, we've got a couple of listeners listening to our podcast. Um, Give us some steps what they can take to practice going forward of love your body.
Okay. Well, first of all, we have to prioritize ourselves. I have a beautiful ritual that I do first morning. I call it my armchair hot tea process. And my hot tea process allows me to sit in a yellow velvet armchair, watching the sunrise, having my journal with me, and just coming into self for the day ahead. When we get to start the day with self, you the energy for the rest of the day. That's one part of what I do. There's a number of parts that I do, but that one is the most important one.
Fantastic, Barbara. And especially with this chapter, Love Your Body. Why is it so important? Let me rephrase. Why it's so important for overall for life mastery?
About loving your body.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, when you prioritize loving your body, prioritize listening, that is conscious listening. When you prioritize self, you create balance versus burnout. When you have rituals like the yellow velvet armchair hot tea ritual, when we schedule for exercise, for water consumption, for regular eating, we notice that we have fuel, therefore we have energy, therefore we have performance. And just like a car needs to move, So do our pet. Our water is our water, and our other oils, etc. These good foods, these foods of balance, these foods of nourishment bring us health. And bottom line, Ron, health is our wealth.
I fully agree. And one of the things is, Barbara, you spoke about burnout. And I've seen so many people saying they do the same thing every day, but they go into a burnout stage. But what I wanted to find out is you take a person like Elon Musk. I mean, I think he's got about 30 hours in a day. How does he adapt through that, doing exactly the same, where the average person might work 8 hours a day and they feel like burnout? Is that because they don't work their time correctly, or how do they look at their own body because of maybe diets or whatever?
I think all of that plays a role, but fundamentally, I would say energy raised comes from passion and purpose. When we have a place of finding meaning in our lives and adjusting our lives into a purposeful life, we get fulfillment in our lives. And again, I go back to this journal. That journal is about how do we measure our fulfillment in the day? When we understand that life is energy, yes, he may work and live like he's got 30 hours, but the matter of the fact is, the truth of the whole thing is, we all only have 24 hours. What is his difference? What is his golden nugget? What is his life juice? What is that about? His life juice is he has clarity of mind, he has purpose of heart, and he puts in every bit of action that he possibly can. He has urgency. You don't get that from a body that's been sitting on a couch, eating snacks and snacks and snacks and growing their toenails into the couch whilst they're watching Netflix. That doesn't happen. We have got to take charge of ourselves. And I'm not saying Netflix is a bad thing. By the way, I have a Netflix subscription, but it has a place and it doesn't run my life. We have to prioritize so that we have clarity, we have consciousness about loving our bodies. Because in that process, when we love ourselves enough, we give ourselves the opportunity to power talk in the positive and in the strong and in the real. We have the opportunity to find our creativity. We have the opportunity to be a better human being when we understand our bodies and give our bodies the respect that they need.
And it's quite interesting what you just mentioned, and I think the key to a lot of this is purpose. And it's just, you know, and of I was going through a couple of things when I was studying a bit of purpose, and I was looking at people like Robbie Williams who committed suicide. There's a lot of movie stars,
Mm.
billionaires committing suicide because they lack purpose. People going on retirement, their life is short because of purpose. And I think this is, brings a valuable exercise to people with reading your book, Love Your Bodies, especially in this chapter, to find your purpose, that you know exactly where you want to go. Um, it's which brings me to the point, why is this chapter more important in the overall life? In At the end of the day, is it's, what are we going to do to become a better and enhance ourselves? And how do we work in our time to fit our time when you get tired, to take the time out? Doesn't matter if it's tired of work or tired of just doing something, but me time, I think that will also help a lot with a lot of us, especially when you get buy that book and read through it called Yes, Yes, You. It makes a big difference in people's lives.
Very much so. Ron, this book, Yes, Yes, You, and also Wim to Warrior, come out of 23 years of trauma counseling and life coaching. This is not a nice read book. This is a do book. This is the life do book. If you're wanting to create a plan for your life through the 8 dimensions of life, and that includes the mind, that includes the emotions and the body, that includes our habits, our way of working with money, our relationships, how we contribute to the world. It includes even our soul. When we want to live a full, balanced, whole life, we've got to do the work. Nobody's going to do it for us.
And how does this chapter connect to the previous chapter, Barbara?
They're all connected. Everything's connected. Because if you do not love your body and you're sitting on the couch snacking, you're not going to find creativity. You're not going to find power talk. You're not going to journal. You're not going to take responsibility for your life. You're not going to know that you have choices in your life.
And something what's quite important, and I'm busy studying it because I'm putting a workshop together for entrepreneurs. And the question was, and I'm going off the subject, but it forms part of the subject, and it's going to enhance a lot of people's mindset, is how AI fits into the workplace. And the most important part is when they interviewed a couple of this people in the AI space, which is top engineers, entrepreneurs, it says a lot of people is going to fail themselves because they feel they're failing their parents of putting them through education. But the key comes in when it comes to the AI space from 2027 upwards, as a person that's more creative is going to find a job than the person that's just got a degree behind them, because the space of creativity and purpose is a people that's going to grow in the industry. And I found it quite interesting because you just mentioned creativity.
The bottom line is that we are creating our lives day by day, minute by minute. If we are not creative, if we cannot think outside the box, if we cannot think about outside our conditioning, if we cannot readjust our mindset, if we cannot manage our emotions, how on earth are we going to cope in a AI world? We're going to fall by the way. We have to stand up, be strong, know our uniqueness, and stand in our dignity, our values, know what we stand for, know what we will not stand for. We need to know who we are as human beings. This work that we're doing around the meaning, the purpose, the fulfillment of life is serious work. It will keep us sane, but it takes us to step up and do it.
And what happens if people ignore these steps, Barbara?
Oh boy. I've just done a 3-year volunteer project with addiction centers. That's what happens, Ron. People go into addiction. They burn out, they frizzle out, they get they get overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. And because of that, depression sets in, despair, despondency, aggression. The pain is too much. The loss is too much. The guilt is too much. That's what happens. We've got to find a way to slow down the train, get off that train, find a new way to reinvent ourselves, do the work.
Uh, Barbara, we close to our 30 minutes, and I just want to close with my last question is, what is your main message for listeners who's listening to that podcast, especially in this chapter?
Challenge your conditioning, recondition yourself, have respect for yourself, Because the bottom line here, Ron, is we do not have respect for ourselves. How are we going to give respect to others? How are we even going to get respect from others? We cannot afford any longer codependency relationships. We stand strong as human beings. We have got to know who we are. We have a purpose in this life, and that is to leave this world a better place for having hosted us.
And,
Simple as that.
Barbara, thank you very much. And one thing I would like to mention is, you're not alone as a listener. There's always a person that's worse off than you. All you have to do is get yourself a colored pen or four colored pens or five different colored pens and start journaling. Just start and start with your five gratitude posts every day. As baby steps that will make you become the person that you want to be. If you want to know more or reach out, um, go into the description. The book will be in there. You can order it on Amazon. And why don't you join us next week, Wednesday, more or less the same time, and you can find a better self. So on that note, Barbara, I just want to say thank you very much. It was exciting.